Mia, what are we finally talking about today?
Disney cruise ship.
Let's just jump right into it. It's Mia's question of the week. Mia, what is your favorite Disney cruise ship?
The Disney Dream.
Why do you like the Disney Dream?
Because I like the kids club and the game.
And what's your favorite game in the kids club?
The one where you pop the bugs.
The digital floor where you pop the bugs and play digital soccer? That was really cool. Should we talk about all things Disney Cruise today with our special guest?
Yeah.
This is Ashleigh and Gideon. Say hi, Mia.
Hi.
So I didn't tell Ashleigh and Gideon I was going to ask this question, but we're going to start with this one because I want to see Ashleigh's reaction. Mia, when you go on the Disney Cruise, when you see Elsa and Anna and Rapunzel, are they real? What do you think?
I don't know.
You don't know? That's a good... See? Look, everyone, the magic is still alive at 7 years old. That's what we're going for. Mia,
Well, Gideon and my daughter Felicity know that Mommy and Daddy used to do the shows. So the people that do the show, like the shows,
yeah,
they're actors, but the
that's a
characters that are going around the ship, those are the real characters. But
That
they're
is a
busy
great
doing the real
way-
character work, and so they let the actors play them in the shows.
that is a great way to explain it.
What is your favorite Disney cruise ship?
Well, of all of them that I've been on, I gotta say the Dream because one, amazing boat, and also my parents met on it. So.
No, really? You guys met on the Dream?
We did. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize the
Well,
exact... I was the exact
Technically, we
ship.
met in rehearsal for the Dream in Toronto, but we were
Oh,
both part of Dream One, which was the original cast of the Disney Dream. And so, if it wasn't for the Dream, you wouldn't even be here.
Yep.
That's amazing. Mia, tell Gideon your favorite ship.
The Dream.
The Dream. We're big Dream fans over here.
You have the same favorite ship.
That is a great choice.
What is your favorite activity to do on a Disney cruise?
I like going to the kids club while my parents get to do whatever.
I'm sure your parents like that too.
We love that.
Do you have a favorite memory with your mom from a Disney cruise?
Yes, it was the first time we went on a water slide together. It was on a boat, and it was the aqueduct, I think. Yeah.
Aww. Yeah, how much did we go on the aqueduct together?
Yeah, it was so fun.
It was so fun. Mia, here's a quick question for the kids. Aqueduct or Aqua Mouse?
Ooh.
Aqueduct.
Mia, what about you?
Aqueduct.
Good choices. Good choices. I like Aqua Mouse, Gideon, but I'm not sure about you. I don't like it when I get squirted in the face, like on the way up.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
That's my
Aqua Mouse would be
I
there
don't
for me
like
too.
it.
Yeah, it's a little jarring when I'm like going up the rail.
It
You want to
is.
ask him your last question?
If you could travel anywhere, take any vacation you want, where would you go and why?
I would want to go to Japan because I like sushi.
Me too. And I would want to go for all the anime souvenirs. And Mia, why would you want to go to Japan? What do you want to get?
I want to get a Mew stuffy.
A Mew stuffy? Oh, I thought you were going to say Pokemon cards.
Thank you, Gideon.
Aw, yay to our Disney Dream fans.
Yay.
Thank you guys so much. Ashleigh, Gideon was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on again today. Now, I feel like I need to let the listeners know I'm actually talking to a real-life Disney princess and a real-life Disney villain. Can you please share with everyone your very unique Disney background and how you became a family travel advisor?
Of course, yeah. So I actually grew up in Southern California. So Disneyland was our backyard and we got to go all the time, which was absolutely wonderful. And I started working there in college. I danced in the parades and I did Fantasmic and I absolutely loved it. It was just so wonderful, like a dream come true, making the magic. But my real dream was to go off and do musical theater for a living. So I came to New York City. And I did all sorts of, regional shows and national tours and cruise ships. And I got hired to be in the opening cast of the Disney Dream. And that is where I met my husband. We were both on that contract together, doing the shows. in the main stage aboard the Disney Dream, and we were the very first people to ever get to do it. So we opened Disney's Believe on the Disney Dream, and it was just the most magical time. So we got to spend a month in Germany doing, where we were living on the ship and rehearsing. And it was during Christmas, so we got to see all the German Christmas markets, and it was just so fantastic. So obviously, living on cruise ships and doing national tours is not really conducive to having children. So once the kids were born, I was trying to find something that I loved doing just as much as I loved performing, that obviously let me be home with the kids more. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I know so much about Disney, obviously Disney Cruise Line, Disney World, Disneyland, and I find it so difficult to plan vacations. You know, like if I'm having difficulty planning my vacation, like and learning all of the lightning lanes and all of the ins and outs of each ship, I can imagine what normal people that aren't ex-cast members and certified Disney adults are doing to try to plan these vacations. So that's when I started this business. It was back in 2022 after a personal Disney trip to Walt Disney World with my family. And I was like, I think I can really, really help people navigate this world of Disney that is ever changing, and because I'm keeping up with it, and I just want to share my knowledge and, you know, help people have the best Disney vacations they possibly can.
That's wonderful. And planning for Disney is not the same way it was over a decade ago. We're leaving for Disney very soon. It's our first time back since COVID. And it's a completely different game, trying to schedule everything, trying to schedule the lightning names. So if you're still not using a travel agent for Disney, where can people find you? How can they reach out to you? Where can they find your wonderful Disney content?
Well, of course. So it's Ashleigh Poppins, and I spell my name really weird. It's on the screen, Ashleigh, and it's like Poppins because Mary Poppins and I used to be such good friends in Fantasmic. So that is my handle, and it's on Instagram and TikTok mostly, also Facebook if you use that as well. All of my social media also has a link to my client consultations. So there's a form you can fill out. We can have a phone call and chat about what your dreams are for your Disney vacation. Can help make that happen.
Amazing. And that's also on social media where they can find your fantastic series, which I'm really enjoying. Which Disney cruise ship should I choose? How did you get the idea to start this series?
I have been loving this series. It's been so much fun to create. I actually had a video do pretty well right before I went on the Disney Destiny for a preview cruise back in November. I decided to rank the Disney cruise ships. Like, I was like, I have been on every cruise ship so far. I'm about to go on the Disney Destiny. I want to rank them just according to my personal preference, right? Well, the video kind of took off, and every single comment on that video is like, what ship is right for me? What ship is right for me? And I just thought, how great would it be to create content to help people, whether they're booking with me or not, kind of decide what ship they want to go on based on their favorite Disney IP, movie, or character.
Exactly. And I saw your ranking of the Disney cruise ships. That was a great video. Let's start on a high level. When people are planning a Disney cruise vacation, what should they be thinking about first? The specific Disney ship or the itinerary and length? How do you advise families in that capacity?
That is such a great question because I feel like in every cruise ship, you are either going for the itinerary or the ship. So you kind of have to choose like what is more important to you. Do you want to go on this big giant ship? You want to go on the newest ship? Or do you want to go to Alaska or the Mediterranean? So you kind of have to decide that first on whether the itinerary or the ship is what you're dreaming about, and then kind of go from there. You want to decide how long how long do you want to be on that ship, right? Do you want to take a 3-day cruise, which I don't recommend, always use the 4-day, not the 3 days. Or do you want to be on a 7-night cruise that's going to be a little bit more relaxing for you? Is it your first cruise? Like, so there's all these things that go into it. And that kind of helps me narrow down what ship they're going to be on.
Let's say they do want to go to the Caribbean. How much does Port Canaveral versus Port Everglades in Fort Lauderdale factor into how you're advising your families that you work with? Because I have a very strong opinion about this, but I want to hear what you say.
So I feel like since they made Fort Lauderdale, they have Disneyfied that cruise terminal. So the moment you get to that cruise terminal, you feel like you're on a Disney cruise. You get to go through the giant Mickey head, just like you do at Port Canaveral. I will say, I feel like With Port Canaveral, I typically have people do their pre-night stay at Walt Disney World if they're doing a Disney cruise. It makes a very seamless vacation. They're staying in the magic from the moment they get off of the airplane and get to a hotel. They're already in that Disney magic. They can also add Disney Cruise Line transfers from any of the Walt Disney World resorts, and it'll take you straight to Port Canaveral. And so it's just a really seamless vacation. They come pick up your bags from your room at Walt Disney World, and they will show up at your stateroom later that afternoon without having you lift a finger. Also, if you're doing a shorter cruise, say on the Disney Wish, you can also do a little land and sea. So if you're thinking about like adding a day or two at Walt Disney World, that is where you want to go. You want to go to Port Canaveral. If you're like good with, not adding all of those days at Walt Disney World, I mean, I love Fort Lauderdale. You can find some really great rates on the Disney Dream out of Fort Lauderdale. So Fort Lauderdale is also amazing because you still get that beautiful Disney terminal that they built in Fort Lauderdale when they created it as a home port for Disney Cruise Line. They also have hotels that they work with in the Fort Lauderdale area. You can stay at the Marriott Harbor Beach. You can stay at the Hilton Fort Lauderdale Marina, and they will have Disney Cruise Line transfers take you to your Disney Cruise Line ship. So
Absolutely. And also, this is why I was so curious what you were going to say. The transport costs for Fort Lauderdale to your hotel versus Orlando to your Port Canaveral hotel, night and day. Like when we're planning for a family of 4, that's adding a couple $100 if I want to do a private transfer from Orlando to our Port Canaveral hotel. When I'm at Fort Lauderdale, I just get in a taxi and I'm there in like 15 minutes and the cost is under $50. It's really a lot more seamless, and it saves me so much money to sail out of Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, I think that you can find really great hotel rates in Fort Lauderdale. Even if you add the Disney Cruise Line transfers, they're anywhere from $21 to $25 per person versus being $45 from anywhere from Walt Disney World to Port Canaveral.
Okay, I've been looking forward to this part. So you help people pick a Disney cruise ship based on their favorite Disney character. We're going to play a little Disney cruise ship rapid fire based on some other categories. Are you
Okay.
ready?
I'm ready.
We will start with best Disney cruise ship for the infants, the toddlers, the pre-K crowd, our youngest sailors.
Yes, I actually really love the Disney Wish for our youngest sailors. They're shorter cruises, so you're not thinking about being on board a cruise ship for 7 nights. I also really love the Toy Story splash pad that they have on the Disney Wish. And of course, those babies and toddlers can enjoy some well-needed time in the Small World nursery, so you can have a little time to yourself.
Best ship for the elementary school age.
I love the Dream Class ships for the elementary school age. I think that it's a really great size and a really great layout for them to kind of have their freedom on the ship to kind of do what they want and go to the kids clubs.
Absolutely, I would agree. And that's probably why the Dream is Mia's favorite ship. This might be a little trickier answer. Best ship for preteens.
Oh, that is so hard. I have an almost preteen. He's going to be 11 in a few months. You met him already. This was his first cruise that he got to go to Edge, and he was on the Wish, and he said it was the best. So again, I think I'm going to pick the Wish is really great for preteen girls, and I would say the Destiny for preteen boys because there's like so many more like boy things that they can do.
That is a really great insider tip. That is fantastic. Best ship for multi-generational families.
I have to go with the Dream Class ships as well. So like the Dream or the Fantasy, again, I think it's a great layout. I think that for multi-gen trips, you may have grandparents or little tiny ones that can't always take the stairs. On the Wish Class ships, they don't have the elevator bank midship, and they do on the Dream Class ships. So you have more elevators to choose from, say if you have somebody with mobility issues in a wheelchair or a stroller.
Absolutely. So you answered 2 of my categories already. For the princess fans, the Wish. For the superhero fans, probably the Destiny, right?
Always the Destiny. Now, it is my favorite ship right now, and it is solely because I think that the character experiences on the Destiny are in a class of their own and nothing like you've ever seen on another Disney cruise ship. There is atmosphere entertainment everywhere you look. And if you go on the older ships, most of the entertainment is in the lounges or the restaurants or the Walt Disney Theater itself, right? When you go on, especially the Treasure and the Destiny, but I would say the Destiny is far above this, there is always a show going on in the atrium or up on deck. There are character meet and greets everywhere you look, and there are so many opportunities to see some of your favorite superheroes as well as some of your favorite villains.
Which we know is near and dear to your heart. Do you think the Destiny, with all the villain interactions, the presence of the villains, is too scary for toddlers,
That
pre-K
is a
crowd?
That's a great question. I think that it absolutely could be. That being said, if you see something that's going on in the lobby that could potentially scare your child, you know your kid's best, you can kind of avoid the lobby and go somewhere else for that moment. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah, so it's not present everywhere. Just make a turn left and go the other direction.
Exactly. Make a conscious decision to go elsewhere. I always say, like, if you can't get the royal gathering
Yes.
and you're like, you know that your kid is going to be devastated that you did not get to book that royal gathering at midnight, 30 days before you cruise, avoid the lobby area, the atrium during the royal gathering, and they won't know any different, you know?
Oh my God, that's so brilliant. Which ship has the best signature Broadway shows, in your opinion?
Oh, this is a hard one because I think like the thespians in all of us, the treasure, I think it's because it's the most like Disney adult ship that it's just like amazing. I have so many favorite Disney Cruise Line shows. So this is really, really hard. Love Disney's Believe, which is only on the Dream and the Fantasy. But I think the best Disney cruise ship or show I've ever seen is Moana, which is only on the Disney Treasure. And so I'm going to pick the Disney Treasure for that reason. Moana is breathtaking. And if you get to see in person the transformation from Taka to Tafiti on stage with like this gigantic puppet, it will change your life.
I feel guilty bringing this up, but when we did the rapid fire, the Disney Magic and the Disney Wonder did not come up at all.
Oof, I know that's hard. I love the Disney Wonder and I love the Disney Magic. We went to Lookout Key for the first time ever on the Disney Magic, and it was such an amazing cruise. I think for the Disney, like the classic ships, my favorite thing about the classic ships is they feel like a family from the moment you get on board. So I do feel like for multi-gen trips, for things like that, the classic ships are absolutely wonderful. You really get to know the cast members because there's less of them and you have more interactions with them on the smaller ships. So I think that for people who want to feel like they are just getting like a warm hug and getting taken care of, the classic ships are absolutely the way to go.
Absolutely. That makes sense. And for me, the classic ships have my favorite adults only area. So if I was going by myself, maybe I would pick the Magic just so I can sit in that adults only area because it is so serene and relaxing. So let's talk about, unfortunately, the saddest part of a cruise, disembarkation day. Is there a particular time you would recommend to families booking your flight back? When's the safe window?
Absolutely. So if you are coming from Port Canaveral, they tell you not to book a flight before 1 p.m. because it's an hour away from the airport or an hour plus, depending on traffic. So you don't want to book a flight before 1 p.m. If you're coming out of Fort Lauderdale, that time is noon. That being said, I've had an 11:30 a.m. flight out of Fort Lauderdale, and it's been absolutely fine. The other thing you can consider is you can either set your luggage out the night before and have them take it down to the terminal and wait for them to call your luggage tag character to get off of the ship, or you can do express walk-off. Express walk-off will get you off the ship as early as you possibly can get off. Typically, when the ship clears customs around 7:30 a.m., you can start disembarking if you have your luggage with you. You don't have to wait for them to call your number, and you can get an earlier flight.
That makes sense. Very good logistics planning. As we begin to wrap it up, for families who maybe feel overwhelmed by this whole Disney cruise planning process, what's your best advice for them? And what is unique about the way you support families as a family travel advisor?
Well, obviously, my best advice would be to find someone to help you. There are so many of us around. So even if it's not me, Find a travel advisor who really specializes in Disney Cruise Line, not just like any old travel advisor. I always have a phone call with all the clients because I want to get to know them and I want them to get to know me. It's a working relationship. We're going to be planning together, right? I'm not just saying like, here's your trip on a silver platter. Like we're going to be talking about what their preferences are, what their schedule's like so that I can really create an itinerary that really just works for them. I got the best compliment yesterday, like that I think I've ever gotten. I was talking to someone, I was doing their debrief. They'd just gotten off the Destiny, and she said, Ashleigh, I felt like a little girl whose mom planned this amazing vacation, and all I had to do was show up. And I just felt so spoiled. I was talking to everybody on board, and she had added a family member to come with her at the last minute. And she's like, I had no idea that you had to call Disney Cruise Line to add somebody to my reservation. You did all of that without even telling me. And so if you can, find someone who can help you through this process because there is a lot to navigate and there are so many different bits and pieces of planning this process. You know, you need to know when your booking window is, when your online check-in is, and if you can have somebody on your side helping you out with all of that, it is going to be amazing for you.
You may not play a cast member anymore in Disney Theater, but you're still a real life fairy godmother.
Oh, thank you.
Before we let you go, we're going to wrap up with a little game we like to call Final Boarding Call, some quick hit questions to wrap up the episode. What is your must-pack cruise essential?
That is a really good one. When I have the kids with me, I pack those sand toys the buckets that collapse and fit in your suitcase. Those are key. And then you don't have to buy the sand toys that are going to be really, really expensive over at the store on Castaway.
Best meal you've had on a Disney cruise ship?
It has to be at Pride Lands on the Disney Destiny. I was so shocked about the quality of food in the rotational dining. I had this shrimp curry that like I'm still dreaming about.
Best souvenir you've gotten on a Disney cruise vacation?
Oh, I really love the ornaments. So like I to have a tree that has like special memories to me. And so we always get an ornament from every trip that we go to.
How wonderful. What a great collection of souvenirs. And last but not least, what is your bucket list vacation?
You know what? I'm going to have to agree with my son. And I want to go to Japan. First of all, I want to take him to Japan because he wants to go so badly. But when I was working at Disneyland, I made it through the Japan auditions twice to the point where they were measuring me and taking my shoe size and showing me what it was going to be like to be in the cast housing. And they never hired me. And so since I was 19 and made it through those auditions, I have wanted to go to Tokyo Disney and experience that. And then also just experience everything there is to know about the Japanese culture and just kind of immerse myself in that.
Thank you so much again, Ashleigh. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Love and safe travels.
Produced by Kids Travel Tales. Kids Travel Tales podcast is independently produced and not affiliated with any company, organization, or product mentioned in this episode.